Hey class, welcome to week 4, module 4. We're going to be talking about industry and SWOT analysis. SWOT is, most of you know, I'm sure, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. This is one of the most important areas within valuation because a company's position within the industry is really going to impact their future outlook, which impacts projections, which is, as you know, projections those feed into your valuation model within the income approach. So with that being said, let me hit these. I'm going to hit some major areas within a SWOT and industry analysis, and these are some of the questions that you should be asking yourself. So first off, market share. You want to ask yourself, is the industry fragmented? Am I dealing with an oligopoly, monopoly? Is it perfect competition? And if your company is within a fragmented industry, for example, it's going to be harder to thrive. Earnings are going to be more volatile, which makes projections less predictable, which makes the accuracy of the valuation potentially less. It makes it more questionable. So, like a fragmented industry, for example, would be like the pizza chain industry. Think of your Domino's, Little Caesars, Pizza Hut, and then of course all of your mom and pop stores. So that makes the chance of success much lower. So, all right, technology. Does your company heavily depend on technology to operate? If so, is that technology expensive? If it's expensive, then that's going to create a barrier to entry. It's also going to be a huge cost, and you've got to project that cost in your forecast whenever you're projecting earnings, and that's just going to be yet again another operating expense that you have to consider in the projections. So finance requirements. Is the industry capital intensive? So do you have to have a lot of cash? Are there long periods of time in between receipt of cash? If so, then you're going to have to tap into a line of credit, because just because you receive cash periodically, you still have your operating expenses you've got to pay out every day, like utilities, your rent, paying employees, things like that. So that's very important to consider. Sales and marketing. So you've got to understand what types of marketing requirements there are. Does the customer require a lot of hand-holding before they make a purchase? Are they doing a lot of research? After they purchase it, do you have to provide customer service? Are they calling back in a lot to either ask questions, or they need further product support? So you got to know those types of things. Industry-specific legislation. Is the industry that your company is operating within, is it subject to substantial, significant regulatory requirements, like the FDA? If you're in the drug industry, there's the FDA along with several others. If you're within the investment and finance or securities market, there's the SEC, and there's FINRA. So you got to consider these types of things, and of course the cost to comply with those regulatory bodies. Labor, supply, and demand. So you've got to ask: is there a strong supply of the key workers that you need? Is there a shortage? Is there projected to be a shortage? How expensive are the people that you have to employ to keep this business afloat? So these are types of things you need to consider when looking at the cost structure as well as projections. So your last one here, raw materials, and so this is going to be the materials that you would purchase to manufacture a good, and you've got to ask yourself: is there a good supply of raw materials? Are you sourcing it from multiple sources, different companies, different geographic regions? So if one region or country gets sanctions, for example, are you able to switch over to the other one? Those are risks. And then you've got to consider whether or not there are going to be large price swings in these types of commodities. if it's really unpredictable, and if it's unpredictable, and you have to factor that sort of thing in the market projections, because it would be subject to large increases in the commodity prices needed to manufacture a product. So again, these are all just some of the main areas that you need to consider whenever doing an industry analysis, and then you would factor these all. You combine all these factors together when you're coming up with an industry forecast. And again, the industry forecast is gonna help you come up with your projections for your individual company, because all of these things are going to impact that. So make sure you read the module overview for the week. We'll talk about NAICS codes and a couple of other important things. So, all right. Hope you guys have a good week, and let me know if you have any questions.